Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Crispy Talk Show. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome, sit tight, relax. We're going to have a great discussion tonight. If you have any issues hearing me with the microphone, just let me know through the comments so that I can see that everything is working correctly. Otherwise, I am going to move on quickly with a quick presentation of who we are and what we do. So, those who do not know me personally, my name is Marcy. I am the founder of Lisanga Vibes. Lisanga Vibes is a safe space for the African diaspora, and we curate events to encourage networking, cultural exchange. But we also have a podcast, a talk show on YouTube, and we will soon have a blog and a website where you'll find even more content prepared for a francophone and an anglophone community online. Without further ado, I'll just quickly show you what we do. So this is us. This is a picture of our anniversary party last year, and we are currently working on the second anniversary party of the project. So please pay attention to what's happening in this space because there will be more information shared very soon. As I said to you, we are a safe space for the African diaspora, and we encourage networking. We organize discussion nights, discussion debate events, and so on. So it's very lively, and we highly encourage you to check out what we do online. For tonight, the topic and the discussion is around animation. And for that discussion, I am very excited about our guest this evening because he is our first guest who's actually from the continent, yes, not from the diaspora. And he has an amazing journey and he's very talented. And we cannot wait to hear back from him and from everything that he was able to achieve over more than a decade now, I believe. So our guest is waiting for us in the backstage, and I will add him to the screen shortly so we can say hello to each other, and then we'll come back to the presentation so we can go more in depth on what he does more specifically. Welcome, Francis. How are you doing?
Hello, thank you, Marcy. I'm doing great. I'm happy. I'm just relaxing and also quarantining myself at France. I'm
So
in France
welcome.
now.
Yes,
Hmm.
that's amazing. Yes, you were just telling me before that you are in France, which I wasn't
Yeah,
expecting, but that's good. So you are in my country, I'm in London. That's great. Eventually, at
yeah.
some point, we will meet up. Uh, I'm very hopeful for that. So welcome on the talk show. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us and to share with us all of this amazing information. I'm going to be very honest with you. I don't know that much about animation, so we will really need you to guide us through the complexities of your industry and the technicalities. Try and break it down as simply as possible as you can. And hopefully, we'll have a great discussion with those joining us tonight. So, I'm going to briefly add again the presentation so we can have a feel of all your creations. And so you can give us more information on what you do more specifically. For those joining, you see the banner that is popping at the bottom. So that bottom is giving you more information about our guest tonight, what he does. And please feel free to be curious as well and to go check out what he does. He also has an amazing YouTube channel where you will be able to see some of his content after the show, obviously. But yeah, for now, I will just let you have a look at the presentation. So I have chosen some of your creations, and the one that we are actually seeing on the screen right now, Mmofra, is the one I actually originally approached you about. So what do you want to tell us about who you are? Tell us everything.
Okay, sure. Everything. Wow. I'll need clapping, or else I'll just go. Anyway, my name is Francis Yishao Brown, for short Francis Y Brown, and I'm the creative director and also the founder of AnimaxFYB Studios. AnimaxFYB Studios happens to be Ghana and Africa's premium creative animation hub, and it's actually Ghana's first animation hub. Um, so personally, I was born in Takrade, that's at the southwestern part of Ghana, and
Wow.
the people coming from Ghana from Western region are Fantis. So I'm a Fanti. I'm a hunter. We are a hunters and enzimers first before fancies. So I'm all three of those things, those people. I grew up there. I schooled. I was staying with my grandmother till my mid teenage. That's 15, and unfortunately she passed. But my grandmother was the person who really nurtured and harnessed the art in me because growing up, she consistently motivated me to do art. So she was always supplying me with art materials. And
Right.
if she noticed that I'm not having materials, or if she noticed that I'm not creating art, she becomes a bit worried and motivates me to create more art. Yes. So when she passed, I was in the secondary school. I was about to enter secondary school. That's St. John's Secondary School at Secondary. I went there for 3 years, and over there, I was offered visual arts because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be an artist. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah. So from St. John's, life became a bit tricky for me because I didn't know where to stay, whether I should stay with my dad or I should stay in my grandmother's house. But he came for me still, and when I went there, he tried to convince me to work in a graphic design company. And as I was working there, I was trying to raise some money to travel outside the country to go pursue my animation career and dreams. But unfortunately, I worked, nothing came out. I didn't get any funds to travel anywhere. But fortunately for me, my boss at the time also had the ambition of becoming an animator, and
Right.
he didn't also get any good direction till he grew up, and he felt, but I felt it wasn't late for him, but he felt it was late for him. So he saw himself in me as at the time. So he was guiding me through. He even introduced me to the film school in Ghana.
Right.
So I was lucky enough. I went there, and they were enrolling new students. So I applied, and out of 3,000 students who applied for that year, they only shortlisted about 150, and out of the 150, we had to go write common common entrance exams
Yeah.
and also go through interview. And with that 150, they screened it down to 35, which I was one of those 35 students that were enrolled into the school that year.
It's
That's
amazing.
in
It just shows how you're just like very, very talented and you were nurtured like from your grandmother, to all of your mentors and so on as you
Mhm.
evolved in your career. It's very important to see that you did not make it that high because you're not hardworking and because you're not determined. I think it's very important, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the show tonight, is really to showcase the talent that we also have on the continent. And I've
Yeah.
also prepared a second slide where there's more of what your studio does, because as you said, it's really an animation production hub in
Hmm.
Ghana, and you have various programs, various short films or films that you work on with your team. And I've selected a few on screen. Would you like to tell us a
Okay.
bit more about those that we are seeing?
So the first one that you see, Welcome to Chronicles of Killer and Quata.
Yes.
So Chronicles of Killer and Quata is a very short, funny skit about these two friends. Kilo is we say Kilo is
Yeah.
the big one,
Yeah.
and Quata is a small one,
Right.
and they stay in the same house. They're very good friends, the best of friends. Kilo really loves to play. He loves to always be busy playing, chasing things, but
Yeah.
he's afraid of uh, insects, bugs, and all that. And Quata is a nerdy guy. He's always on his phone, or he's watching some TV, or he's on the computer, or he's playing games.
Yeah.
So they are all playful, but in their own fields.
Right.
But there is this particular thing about them where each and every episode they are trying to outsmart themselves.
Right.
So Kilo will do something trying to hurt, or not to hurt per se, but to make fun of Kwata. Then it will trip off, and he will end up being the victim of his own trap.
Right.
So like cat and mouse kind of relationship in the house,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
very good
It's kind of
friends.
like the
And
Tom
it's
and Jerry vibe as you're describing it.
yes, and yeah, it's a short comedy skit that we produce. We have produced about a whole season of it, and
Right.
per every episode we have about 2 minutes, and we've produced about 12 episodes out of this IP. Now we move to Tutu. Tutu is like my dream project. It's
I
like my
really like that
passion,
one.
passion, passion project.
Yeah,
Yes.
I really, really like that
Um,
one as well.
I started chasing Tutu about uh I'll say about 11 years ago.
Right.
So 2010, 2009, I started chasing this particular project. And the whole idea of Tutu is that is about the establishment or the creation of the almighty Ashanti kingdom in the 17th century, where two young men, a pragmatic young man called Osei Tutu,
Yes.
and also a magician
Right.
called Okonfanache, come together to unite 8 different clans of Akan to come together to defeat one overlord who has lorded over them for years, centuries, decades, and centuries. This particular project is supposed to be a series where we have about 3 seasons, and in every season we have 24 minutes. And so it goes to tell you that it's proper TV product. And
Right.
in every season we have 12 episodes actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so it takes you from when Osei was a boy, he was a prince, all the way to when he became a king, and how he defeated his arch enemy and also ruled over a very significant amount of West Africa as at the time, because Ashanti Kingdom in the 17th century was huge. Like they took a lot of territories, and even to the point of them able to withstand the siege from the British. Like they were able to defeat the British army countless of times.
Yeah.
Then we come to our maiden project, Room 5.
Yes,
Room
Room
5 is
5.
a short, yes,
The
Room
trailer is
5.
so interesting. I wasn't sure if I had to be scared, if I had to smile. I wasn't sure, I really didn't know what to expect from that one, but it's really an interesting one as well.
Yeah, room five. Room five. Room five is the reason why I'm in France now. It has been selected at Annecy International Animation Festival, which a lot of people agree that, or arguably the biggest animation festival in the world,
Right.
and it has been selected in the short film category,
Lovely.
making yes, making us the only West African studio to be representing
Wow.
out of 4 African studios in Africa. That's from Kenya, South Africa, Egypt, and Ghana
Wow.
in different categories. So Room 5 is a dark comedy animation film, and it came out of a simple place, a very it came out as a result of us discussing, if I say as the team back in the studio discussing the public health issues, like when you go to public health centers, how things happen. Because one of our guys was having malaria, and he was afraid to go to the hospital because he was
Mm,
afraid of the kind of things that happens at the hospital. There is a bit
right.
of inadequate facilities. Sometimes if you can be diagnosed with something else, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
those kind of things. And even if you compare it to today, you
Yeah.
can tell that the minority are really pushing back on the vaccine, the COVID vaccine,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um, because of their experiences with medication and
Yeah.
going to the
Yeah.
hospital centers, clinics, and all that. Sometimes it's not really favorable. So this particular idea came out of a very political standpoint, but
Mm-hmm.
we toned it down to a very simple point where when you watch it, you might laugh, do everything, and not even realize that we are being that political.
Yeah. So where
Yeah.
is this one going to be available? Is it going to be available like on particular distribution channels or broadcast streaming platforms?
Yeah. So currently we are going for the distribution strategy is going for film festivals. Once we are done with going to film festivals, we'll also look at the second phase of distribution for this content.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
That's amazing. Well, thank you so much for this very comprehensive presentation of who you are, where you came from in your roots and in your motivation and desire to become a professional animator. But now I would
Thank
like to
you.
go back to some of the basics. As I said, I am not well versed in this particular industry of animation. But from looking at it and the industry figures, first of all, it's a huge industry. I was not expecting to see like such huge numbers over this. It's a very labor intensive industry as well.
Mhm,
And I don't know exactly how it works, but I understand that there's like five different types of animation between
mhm,
traditional 3D, 2D, and so on. Which
mhm,
are the ones where in which you are particularly trained for, and which ones you are specified in?
mhm. All right. So when it comes to animation, it is under two main umbrellas.
Right,
That is the traditional and computer generated.
right,
And when you come down from these two major techniques, we have the 2D, the 3D.
right,
And under the 2D, 3D, we also have the we have so in 2D we have the computer generated cutout 2D. We have the hand drawn 2D. Um, we have uh,
so
uh, uh, uh,
super technical.
yes, so computer generated and hand drawn for the 2D.
Right,
And when it comes to the 3D, we have claymation, we have pixelation,
right,
we have the computer generated 3D.
right.
Um, yeah, we
So
have puppetry. So it goes on and on and on. But the one that I was trained for was hand drawn
right.
2D animation.
Okay.
Um, I also trained myself in computer 3D animation.
Mm-hmm.
And I did some claymation, I did some stop motion.
Right.
Um, yeah, claymation, stop motion are almost the same, but we say claymation or stop motion. And also cutout, 2D cutout, traditional 2D cutout animation.
It's just amazing. Like, how can you just maybe like in your hub in Accra, you're based in Accra, right? How
Yes,
many of you of animators do you have in your team, roughly? And for example, for the Kilo and Quata chronicles that you make, you said they're very short ones. How long does
yes,
it take you to make one episode? For example, a 2 minute episode. It's kind of, let me add back this. So for those watching us, you can see that the characters on Kilo and Quata, they have more like, I don't know, volume compared to the 2 ones, for example. So I'm
yeah.
guessing it's not exactly the same technique to produce that one.
Yes, so it's 3D. Kilo and Quarter is 3D, and the Tutu one is 2D.
Right. So how long does it take you, for example, to realize a 2 minute episode for the Chronicles and Quata with your team?
Yeah, so with my team, we are about 15 now. We used to be
Yeah.
about 10, and we expand when we have anything major because then we have to
Right.
add in some of the freelancers.
Right.
Um, so with typical Killer and Quarter episode, because we already have the models, we have the characters, and we have their world. Um, with animation, you need to build their world. So we have their house, whatever is in the house, their compound around the house, unless
Mm-hmm.
there is something new that we have to create and augment into the animation. We are always having all these assets. So
Right.
once we have our storyboard to tell the story,
Mm-hmm.
it takes from production to post production, it takes the team roughly about 2 weeks to produce 2 minutes animation. It used to be longer, but because the team expanded, it used to
Yeah.
be longer. We used to use about three
Extra
months to
time.
produce
Wow.
1 minute.
It's
Yes,
that I think that that's why I wanted to share. I wanted you to share this information because
yeah,
one of the things I have realized myself looking into this particular industry is that it's so labor intensive that
very.
sometimes when you refer to the traditional one, for example, so some of the big Disney movies that we know actually require people to draw everything. And
Mhm.
sometimes just to produce 2 seconds of animated content, one animator can be working on the same thing for like 1 or 2 weeks. And I was just
Yeah,
like, but that's just 2 seconds in a movie that's an hour and 30 minutes sometimes.
yes,
And if it takes like 2 weeks for one person to produce 2 seconds of animated content, that just shows how it's extremely extremely technical and
yeah.
just like very 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 technical, very labor intensive, and it's
Budget
not necessarily
intensive.
everybody. Yeah, it's not necessarily for everybody, but it's just amazing how you know people in that industry, you must have like the highest score on the patience scale wherever, because I know
Yeah.
I can't be sitting down for like that many hours doing the exact same thing and repeating it. But in your industry you need to have that skill, I guess, as well.
Yes, animators have a lot of patience, and it's funny. Like when it comes to our work, we have patience. When it comes to real day life and all that, we don't. We have little patience for this. But when it comes to animation, we'll take our sweet time to make sure we get the results. So what makes animation faster and easier is when the team is big, and
Hmm.
it's not just that the team is big. When the team is well equipped, and also their skill set is really up and good. So yeah, that is how come we've been able to um, break that barrier of delaying work. It's from 3 months to 2 weeks. It shows that we've really done a lot with our production
Yeah.
timelines and also production channels, how to make sure from this stage to the next stage we've been able to bridge it
Hmm.
and how to share work. And it's a lot about division of labor.
So now, how has it been for you with the whole pandemic and COVID and the borders being closed and everybody being forced to stay home and so on? How has it been for you, your specific experience? Because I was looking at how your industry was affected by COVID, and it seems that depending on the branch you're working in, some have been able to still resist to some extent because they were not
Yeah.
that reliant on proper studios and people traveling to places to be able to produce the content. So, how has it been for you after the lockdown and COVID and so on?
Yeah, so the it was good and bad,
Hmm.
but as it was bad, I think something very good came out of it.
Yeah.
We when COVID started hitting the world, we were monitoring it because Ghana was like one of the last countries to ever get any infections.
Yeah.
So as it was happening, all the clients that we had them listed from 2019, end of the year, that we were supposed to service for the first part of the year or the first half of the year, they all started declining, stripping off their events, stripping off their whatever they want to do with us because COVID has happened and they don't know, they are not too sure what's about to
Obviously.
happen.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And this was the time that we had released that proof of concept for Tutu. So it means that I was ready to go into the film market to go market
Right.
the concept and what we have so that we can be able to secure
Funding.
investment to produce.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And COVID has happened. There is no money coming in. The small
Wow.
money that is there is also going. So as a CEO, I panicked a bit. I was a bit afraid because I was like, "Oh, this is the end of my studio, my small studio. This is the end of it."
Yeah, yeah.
But I had to be a creative person as I am. I had to be very smart about it. I had to be creative about it. So I went back into my shells and had some deep thoughts because it wasn't easy. I was depressed. That was the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to do a lot of meditation, a lot of thinking through what will be the next step for my studio because
Right.
this is a situation that even the whole world is shaking. So how much more myself and
Yeah,
a
yeah,
small
yeah.
business?
Obviously.
So the idea came that you started working on Mmofra, you started building a children's channel,
Yeah.
and now children are not going to school. They're
Mm,
all staying at home.
right.
And Mmofra has 8 different shows. Your team is almost free, but you're always paying them. And
Mm,
these shows are are seeking to teach and educate and entertain these kids who are sitting at home so that their parents can also take charge at work and be working whilst they give them Mafra to watch. So
mm,
boom, I was like, this is the green light. You need to
amazing.
work on it. So yes, I pulled that project files of Mafra again and we
Mm-hmm.
started working on them. Mafra, I started working on it in the year 2018, but
Right.
I had to shelve it because there was no funds. I was basically trying to raise funds to complete it, but there was no
Mm,
funds. So we were seriously working on client jobs that will sustain us. So when
mm,
it happened like that, we picked it and we used faith to produce.
right.
But as we were producing, I was also talking to
Can you
someone
hear
who
us?
picked it
You
up.
just froze. Oh no, you're back. I think
Yes.
the connection quickly froze. If you could just re-say what you were saying about the funding part on
Yeah. So
Mmofra.
so the funding wasn't really enough, so I shelved it. And
Mm,
when the COVID situation hit, I had to pull it out and take a leap of faith to produce it. So
mm,
as we were producing it, we were looking for distribution agents to make sure that once we are done, we get a safe place or
mm,
we get someone who acquire it
yeah.
and put it on their platform. And luckily for us, that is exactly what happened with Amazon Prime.
I love
Before we
that.
even blinked, we were on that platform. We were accepted. Um, Also, yes, after Mofra, the things started picking up a little bit with organizations, and what
Mm,
makes it also a bit easy on us to always produce is we are a digital company, so
right.
we don't necessarily have to be in the same space to produce.
Exactly.
But the only challenge is that your employer, sorry, employee, does he or she have the tools
Right.
which is enough to produce your work in time? Or does the person have the discipline to sit in the
Yeah.
house and not go do anything and produce for you? So we had some of our freelancers working from home. and our business model also brings all the team to the same space. They are housed, and also it's very close proximity to the studio, so they're able to always work in the studio and go back to their bedrooms to go sleep or do whatever on the compound. So it's a full house. It's a very big place.
So
So
it's a
that's
very easy bus from what I hear. I would like to work in your company. You know, the bus is very relaxed and we've got beds if we have to stay in the office and
yeah, 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 yeah. You see, art is. I say this to my people, and sometimes my entrepreneur friends tell me that I'm spoiling my team, my workers. And I
mm-hmm,
said no. These are human beings,
mm-hmm,
and they are not machines. They are not slaves.
mm-hmm.
So you should be flexible enough for them to be always having their creative juice flowing.
Yeah.
And creatives too, we are very sensitive. So it is not every time, every day that creative person will be in their best of shape.
Yes, that's
So
very
you
true.
create that atmosphere where the person can just even wake up in the middle of the night
Mm-hmm.
and be inspired to do something. And in the daytime, the inspiration might be gone. So the
Yeah.
person will not give you their best. And you always want to get the person's best.
Mm-hmm.
You get it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I always create that room where people don't feel like they are working. They
Yeah.
feel more like they are playing with their skills and talent and producing something good.
Amazing. I would like to quickly show an extract of the kilo and quata that we showed earlier. I will not put the sound on, but I would just like you to, as the video plays on, just to explain to us what's happening and maybe, I don't know, what is the story behind this,
Okay.
the teaser and so on. So,
So I give you a commentary sort of.
yes, please.
Right, sure.
So first of all, why did you choose to have one that is small and one that is big? Is it purely because of the comedy aspect, or were you inspired by something in particular?
Yeah, so the comedy aspect. So we all know that big people come with, you think big people will be having a lot of sense.
Right.
And small people normally are like, okay, they don't have much sense or something. Short people have short sense. But we played it in the reverse form where, in this particular case, the big person has very short sense and
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
small one is very
It's clever.
sensible.
Mm-hmm.
Like the shot that you just watched.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
mean, if you've seen a tadpole going and is entering a hole,
Mm-hmm.
and your friend is trying to hit it with a catapult,
Yeah.
why would you go stand on the
Where you're
other
coming. Yeah,
end
exactly.
where if he
It's
throws
actually
the
coming.
catapult,
Yeah.
if he shoot the sling, it might affect you, but you still go peep in there. What
Mm-hmm.
sense does it make? Yeah, so yeah, that's the dynamics in the choice of characters.
I would also like to show a quick extract of Mmofra. So Mmofra originally, as I said to everybody, so Lisanga Vibes has a newsletter, and we usually look out for content highlighting the talents of the continent and the diaspora. And I came across an article talking about Mofra and about Francis. And I reached out to him and I said, what you do is amazing. I would like you to come on the talk show. And that's how we connected. And the program which was highlighted is the one he's just talked about, Mofra, the one that was on the shelves and that came out after COVID. And I would like to us to talk a bit more about that one as well, because you place this particular program in the edutainment section
Mhm.
of your creations, and I would like you to expand on why in particular. So I'll do the same thing. I'll let the video play of the teaser. So that's the program that is available on Amazon Prime. Uh, and yeah, and I would like you to. Why did you specifically want to produce content for children and very educative as well?
This is so the reason why I decided to do this is because when you turn on in Africa,
Mm-hmm.
or even if you come into the diaspora,
Mm-hmm.
that's Europe, America, and you're a Ghanaian or African,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you turn on your television set
Mm-hmm.
to educate your child or entertain them, you end up giving them a purely foreign content to consume.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if I say foreign content, it's not always age appropriate. There are
Mm.
always some subtle
Yeah.
subtle
Yeah.
things which are not appropriate
Messages.
for
Yeah.
kids.
Subliminal messages and
The
things.
language, the imagery,
Mm-hmm.
and also even the characters themselves. You talked about characters. The
Yeah.
characters weren't too relatable to our kids. Like
Mm.
I grew up watching a whole lot of Cartoon Network and
Yeah.
some Nickelodeons, and it was hard for me to see
To
black
relate. Yeah.
characters in there as of
Mm-hmm.
the time. I watched. I think the only animation that I was really interested in, because there was this particular guy who looked just like me, was
Mm.
Captain Planet. Captain
Right.
Planet had one black boy called Kwame, and Kwame happens to be from Ghana. So I was like, hey,
That
that's
was the
that's kind
connection.
of,
That was the
yeah,
excitement. Right.
that connection. But I wasn't I wasn't too conscious of it as at the
Mm-hmm.
time, but I knew that character really got my attention as a kid.
Mm.
But growing up, it's like this cycle wasn't breaking. We weren't breaking this cycle enough.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
because animation is still green in Africa, a lot of
Mm.
people haven't really gone into the practice of animation, or to
Yeah.
build studios, or to make huge budget films out of animation. It is only the big studios who are using Africa as backdrops for their
Mm-hmm.
content, and we can all tell from the monies that they make in the box office. Look at Black
Mm.
Panther, look at Madagascar, look at
Very true.
Lion King. You know,
Mm-hmm.
all of those ones, they've proved that anything with Africa in the backdrop will sell.
Yes.
So in my mind, I was like, it's about time that we change that narrative of not really representing ourselves by ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And me being an animator who trained in Ghana, West Africa, and didn't really export myself so much, is it only makes sense for me to create something that my people will also enjoy.
Oh, amazing. I mean, for me, it's really important that you're talking about the narrative and the fact that you have to relate to the content that you watch. And one of the programs that you created and you also mentioned is Tutu, and I like how you emphasize the historical content of that particular creation that you created. I'll also play something in the background as we continue talking, so people can have an idea of the diversity of content that you create, and the
Hmm.
importance of the narrative, and making sure that the narrative is also very uplifting for the people watching. I absolutely relate to everything you said in terms of watching cartoons and not necessarily identifying with the characters that you see on screen, and why
Yeah.
that is very important that we are also in the production realizing the content that the next generation will see, because that's how you can spark aspirations for the next one to come and to be your trainees. In 10 years from now, you'll need more trainees, more animators, more
Yeah.
people to animate your characters and add more creativity to your studio. And I think that's why
Yeah.
it's really amazing that you really have that strong idea that from the continent you want to produce for all of us as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Like
particularly,
what we are even seeing on the screen, like Porcupine.
you want me to
Porcupine
play?
is very,
Let me play again so we can
yeah,
listen.
like this particular character is a porcupine, and
Yeah.
porcupine is very much can be found in Africa, especially West Africa, a lot of them.
Right.
So these are the type of imageries and bees, fresh imageries that we want to bring to the world. fresh
Yeah.
ones that when people think about Africa or the history of the past of Africa, they get to see like a building like this with intricate designs,
Yeah.
the sophistication in our dressing, in our
Mm-hmm.
traditional wear. See all those golden rings, necklaces, and all that. Like it comes from a certain origin when you see a black American wearing all these big jewelries and big gold chains and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's portrayed in our kings and our queens.
I'm not sure for those watching with us tonight. It's just like it's amazing the diversity of the characters. You know, the fact that there's a character who's an albino. So the one
Yes,
running right now is an albino. It's just those kind of things that someone who's not necessarily familiar with the culture would not necessarily be able to illustrate with sincerity and fairness in the traits, in the freckles. You know, it's like those small details. I know exactly, like when I recognize that character, that is not just blonde. I
yes,
recognize that, and I really appreciate the fact that, you know, he's a character in one of your creations, and it's just like the diversity of the stories, and it goes very quick. And for those who are joining us halfway through the discussion, Francis explained earlier that sometimes some of these programs, just to produce 2 minutes of that, it can take someone 2 weeks of work. So just for that, people realize that, you know, as the images go very quickly and we're just having a chat very relaxed and so on, this is actually hours and hours and weeks of work of writing a story, finding the right characters, drawing them, animating them, and then all of the, you know, post production work. So actually, can you talk to us about like some of the post production work, like when you have to cast for the voices
mm.
and all of that? What happens after you've decided this is what I'm gonna do?
So when the concept comes, when the idea comes, yes, first of all, I sit down with my writers. I have a club of writers. So I sit down with the particular writer who I feel will be best for the project, and I give the idea to the writer.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, self, I write the first draft of it and give it
Right.
to the writer. We go through it, make sure that the writer sees from my perspective, like
Mhm.
sees what I see in my mind's eye to be able to transfer it onto the paper. After writing, we move to casting stage where we do auditions for different voices for different characters. And once we're done with the auditioning, we move to the production stage. That's the pre-production stage. That's developing the characters, developing the environment, concept arts, uh, recording the voiceovers, like doing all the necessary preparations that a production needs to have before production starts. And when production starts, um, we start to animate, we start to create the backgrounds, we start to create all the visual effects, dynamic simulation. So if I say dynamic simulation, if in Tutu, for example, you see when the boy Anochi cracked the egg, you notice that the clouds, the thunder came out and all that. That's a dynamic simulation. The smoke that came out of the egg when he was running, when he screeched on the ground, all the
Right,
dust
right. I'm
of
trying to
yes,
find some of the smoke you're
yes.
saying.
No,
When
you
he's running?
yeah. When he's running somewhere here, there's one there. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. So
right,
we have someone who does that. Even the bridge breaking is
right,
also someone's work. Even just the bridge as it stands and is shaking. You
right,
see, when
right,
it's falling into the water, the way the water splashes.
right.
So
I'll
we
just
have
replay it so that as you explain it to us, people have a
yes.
chance to try and grasp what you're saying. So
So
try and focus on like what happens on the bridge when it breaks
yes,
and so on. That's the
when
work
it
of
breaks,
someone.
yeah,
Hmm.
yes, hitting the rock to break. We're having the water splashing, the
Hmm.
bridge shaking, all of that. The person who is creating the costume that they
Hmm.
are wearing, you see the necklace.
Hmm.
When he hits the egg on the floor, All
Yeah.
those things that happens on the floor, it's someone's work. It's a one
Right.
person's work.
Right.
You see all that thing going around him as he's going up. It's all someone's work. The background designs. So during production, there's a whole lot of different departments working.
Yeah, I can
And
see now that you keep your 15 employees very busy.
yes. And after the production stage, we go to the post production stage where we put everything together. So you put your designs, your effects, your backgrounds, your characters, animated characters, everything to make sense, to tell the story.
Mm.
Then, yes, you render out and you have your film for distribution.
It's amazing, really amazing. Thank you so much for breaking it down for us because I think we don't necessarily realize because it goes very quickly that there are maybe 4 or 5 different people involved in, producing, I don't know, 10 frames or 15 frames or whatever. I'm not sure what the measurement is, but it's very important for us to kind of understand that there are several layers. It's a very intensive labor industry. So as you were talking, you dropped a lot of very technical terms, but to give people listening a bit of an understanding of the animation world, it's a very big family. When I try to look at figures to have a feel of how big the industry is for animation, i.e., including animation, video games, and visual effects that you've mentioned, I think for 2020, the overall production was estimated around 240 billion for all
Yeah,
the production. That was the weight of the market. And then
yeah,
when you have to, as you say, break it down in people who only do animation, people who do visual effects, people who do video games, then you've got, even more works, even more different jobs that come with it,
yeah.
different
The
revenue.
merchandising aspect of it,
It's
and the
crazy.
merchandising aspect of it is about half. Is about 500 billion, and
Hmm.
even for that $200 billion that 2020 um, was estimated for the animation industry is because of COVID. COVID really came to shake the industry. Normally, we do twice or triple that amount.
That's amazing. It's just like,
Yes.
wow.
So,
When you
yeah.
talk about the funding part, and I would also like us to take the time to talk about the funding. Like I genuinely did not realize that some of these movies can sometimes cost up to 200 million to produce, because
Mhm.
people don't necessarily associate the fact that it's not because we have big actors on screen that it does not require good voices, as you said, all the production, the marketing around it, and all the people who will actually design everything to make sure the background is nice, the effect looks great, the characters and so on. I think we don't necessarily realize that it is as intensive as a movie with people playing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. So, you know, when, for a full film, we normally have 100 people working on it straight, or
okay.
sometimes even more.
Wow.
And all of these people are backstage people. And if
Right.
you want to use those who are on the stage itself, that's the characters, you
Mm,
also have another set of number of people to pay. And
right.
all of these things come into play, and you notice that your budget is no more like a short film or an independent film project.
Mm,
It starts rising. For a simple, it's not even a simple project anymore. When it started, the whole idea was, oh, it's simple, simple. I can use my team to produce it. But as time goes on, I noticed that no, we don't have that
mm,
capacity. We had to expand,
mm.
and we ended up using about 70 to 80 people producing the
Wow.
70-minute project for Mmofra.
It's crazy. 70 people involved to produce the 70,
Almost 80, yes.
almost 80 for the
Yeah,
70-minute long project. So Mofra
yeah,
is available on Amazon Prime. Um,
yes.
What are your plans in terms of the distribution of Mofra on other platforms? Are you considering TV as well? Are you considering other streaming platforms?
Yes, we are considering that. Uh, we are currently strategizing with our agents on the
Mm.
next moves after Amazon Prime, how we're going to disseminate our
And
content.
congratulations on that
Yes.
one. You haven't really emphasized that it is the first one that is African produced, available on the platform worldwide. That's just like
Yes.
people
Yes.
have to realize it's the first. And so, all of you who order stuff on Amazon, you have Amazon Prime. So, you have to watch Mmofra. Like, this is just. That's everything we have. The more people watch the program, the content, the more it will be pushed to the next stage and to the bigger deals and so on. So it's very
Yeah.
important that we also support those kind of contents on the global platforms, because it's not just content produced for us, it's for everybody. And as you've seen from the quality of the extract that I've shown you, his studio, like, you can show his cartoons to children under 5, any country, they will enjoy it, because they react to the characters, they react to the speed, the story, and so on. But they wouldn't necessarily see, oh, this is African produced. They just see great content. And I think it's important for us to uh to push you as much as we can, and to celebrate what
Thank
you've
you.
done, because it's
Thank you so
I'm
much.
surprised that there's not even more than that on those platforms. Because honestly, when you look at, like, I've shown you guys 3 4 different creations from his production team, and they're all great. They all look amazing. Like, I can't tell the difference between that and Disney and the others. So it's amazing, really.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
No problem. And people are congratulating you as well in the chat. So thank you for that. I would like to talk as well on just to go back on the funding part. So you said how, sometimes you had to push back some projects, such as
Mhm.
Mofra, to the side because you were working on other projects to raise money or to have more budget. So
Yeah.
who are your typical clients? Who commissions your work?
So there's this main thing. Before I started the project, I told myself one thing, that the studio is not going to end up being an advertisement agency.
Right.
And the
Right.
reason why I decided to kick against that is because I want our project or product that we produce to
Mm-hmm.
be out of the shelves.
Right.
Because when you produce for a client, an SMG, is it SF, like a fast commodity
Yeah. Yeah.
product,
Yeah. 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 Like
after
a
a month,
uniform or
once,
something like that. Yeah.
yeah, so once their campaign is over, your work goes, like, you don't see it anywhere again. And
Right.
the
Right.
next campaign comes and you create something, and all the time these kind of clients don't have the patience and also the knowledge about animation that
Right.
much. So they end up rushing you to produce within some limited amount of time with a very limited budget.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that is not the idea. I want my product to be timeless. Like,
Right.
it needs to be in the face of people forever. That's the kind of thing I want to be doing. So we also, because we said we're not going to be ad agency, it means that we are not going in for the fast cash
Right.
that we could be getting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we took our time to understand the market and see the kind of organizations that we can be working with or for. And these kind of organizations happen to be the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
They also fall in line with some of the things that we wanted to talk about, as in to improve lives,
Right.
to make sure people have enough information about certain subjects. But we use animation to tell the story in a very nice way. Um, another cooperation like the UN, we work with them, and
Mm-hmm.
also UNICEF
Yeah.
uh, in Ghana to talking about sanitation, talking
Mm-hmm.
about open defecation, like things that are very particular to our environment that needs to be solved.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to use our tools to solve problems instead of using it as a fast means of getting cash.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah. Yeah.
that, if you use it for getting cash, it gets to a point where it doesn't feel like passion thing anymore, but rather a cash cow, and you can be exhausted quickly
Exactly.
with that.
Exactly.
But believing that when we do the right things, the right amount of cash will come to us, and that's what we did.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for. I wanted you to also take the time to highlight this question of funding because unfortunately, not only the animation industry, but the creative industry, generally speaking, are not necessarily the industry that are the most supported when it comes to funding. So
True.
that's why I also wanted you to talk about that reality that sometimes people need to just feed themselves, and it can be an easy choice to go to those deals that are, quick money coming in, because I just need to sustain myself, even if I know that I could produce real quality content, but I
Yeah.
can't sustain myself without food, without, shelter and so on. And the fact
Yeah.
that you took a particular position on that, I highly respect that, because
Thank
not
you.
everybody is able to say, I'm going to continue producing quality content. I want something that is timeless. I want something that impacts the people who are watching. And I don't want to be joining that vibe of people who produce, fast consumption goods and fast consumption video. And especially in the time of where everything is, even us as a consumer of video content and so on, we consume very differently from 10 years ago. A lot of
Yeah.
things we stream is on YouTube, on Amazon Prime, on Netflix, and so on. And
And it's so fast.
exactly. So we are
Yes.
not as patient as we would have been, before. Maybe when I was like 5 or 6, I would have waited Sunday evening. We're going to have the VHS cassette. Everybody's going to watch. And,
Yes.
and now it's not that. You can have like, your streaming platform. You're just, logging in quickly. You're going to watch 20 minutes or so on. So all of that is really changing the dynamics of what the people producing content do in the background, because
Mhm.
if now you have a funder who say, well, actually now the market says that people only watch this for like X number of minutes, so I don't want anything to be produced over that, it kind
Mhm.
of can limit as well your creativity. What's your
Yeah.
view on how the consumption habits are changing, um for us, consuming, like when you produce your content and being conscious that we stream a lot more, we pass through different things quicker. We are not necessarily faithful to one particular program or house or channel and so on. How does that affect you when you create content?
So it gets me concerned. I get very concerned about some of these things, and through this, it also helps us to do intense research about particular product that we want to produce. Um, Once we get to know the strength of what we are producing, is either the particular content or film that we want to produce goes with a specific topic that is in motion. Like,
Mhm.
for example, we have COVID. So are we going to produce something that goes with in line with COVID?
Yeah.
Um, and all of those things that seek to address certain issues at a particular time? Or is this particular animation film that we are producing now timeless, like in the sense that any year that you pick this, maybe 10 years from now or 5 years or any time from now, will it fit right into what the people are looking for? So we
Exactly.
look into all of these things to inform our decision in productions.
Yeah.
And sometimes self, we also think of how to create trends ourselves. Like with our film, we need to create a trend. So
Mm.
when people are watching it, they remember, oh, okay, this particular thing started from this film.
Yeah,
And
I think
because
it's
of
also
that,
referring to one of those
then
things.
it becomes a reference point all the time for people to go check it out.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously. It's amazing. Well, I've just started saying to people watching that they can start thinking of any questions they may have for you. But I do have something I would like to do with you before we start welcoming questions from the audience watching.
Okay.
So first of all, as you know, people watching, you should be very honored that Francis is taking the time to be with us. As you can see, he's traveling, promoting his work, and I'm just so pleased that he accepted to join us tonight. So we should really, really enjoy him being with us tonight. I'm gonna add back quickly the presentation, and I have found some pictures of you, Francis, somewhere
Mm.
online. Don't ask me why. I'm just good at
Okay.
finding those things, and I will just
Okay.
show them and then ask you to tell us if you remember when the picture was taken, and what is the story behind that. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, let's go. So where is this? Where are you?
Boom. Okay, so this is me sitting in the studio on one of the team's machine because I needed to fix an edit for him. I
Right,
was um I was doing a routine check on an edit.
right.
So yeah, I was editing on that machine.
That's very true. It's true that you're mentioning the editing part on that, and that we can actually see some of the software, because software are
Yeah.
actually one of the big costs as well when you look at your
Yeah.
production, because you need to think of having the proper tools to produce the right effects that you're looking for and so on.
It's
And the
true.
fact that we're actually seeing you working on one of those, and that we can see the background of Mmofra in particular, that's amazing. So that's the
Mhm.
studio. Good. I can see that you're very
Yeah.
creative on the walls as well in the studio, like it's painted or like
Yep.
characters in the
Graffiti.
background. Yeah, there's
Hmm.
graffiti. Amazing. Very creative
Yes.
team. You know that when I'm coming to Ghana, I'm coming to that studio. I'm going to that place. I'm taking a picture there, and I'm
For
sending you
sure. You're
urgency.
welcome all the
Right.
time.
Okay. Agreed. Thank you. All
Yeah.
right. Next picture. Where is this?
Boom.
Boom. Did you not tell me? You didn't
Ah.
tell me you were into modeling. I'm sorry, but you did not tell me you were into modeling. I had to find that
Ah,
online.
so this picture was me in the year 2016 after winning Best Animation in
Wow.
Africa.
Such an
Yes.
award winning, guest we have tonight. Like award winnings. It's like you win, and you're featured in like amazing
Yeah.
publications and so on. It's great. So that's 2016.
Yeah, this
What
is
happened to your hair?
2016. I think I'm coming back to that hair. I love it so much. I feel like Samson without his hair now. Powerless. I need to go back to my hair. Yeah.
Amazing. All right, I've got one more picture. Where is this?
Boom. Whoa. Okay, this is actually the night that I was picking the award for Best Animation in Africa at Africa International Film Festival, AFIF. And
Wow.
it was held at Lagos.
Mm,
That's inside Echo Hotel.
mm.
Mm,
It's amazing. What
yeah.
was the creation that you won this for?
Okay, so this was Agokoli. We used Agokoli to win it.
Oh.
Agokoli went to about 35 different film festivals worldwide. He won about 20 awards out of the 35.
That's
And
crazy.
Agokoli did a lot. He was the first shortlisted student
Wow.
project at the Student Oscars
Wow.
ever in West Africa. And yeah, he won uh, best animation of the animator of the year for myself at the Ghana UK Based Achievement Awards
Hmm.
in the year 2017. He won some prestigious awards around the world.
It's crazy. Well, congratulations again. Like
Thank you.
literally, I'm not lying to people. You literally won awards like every other year or so, and every other, it's just
Yeah.
crazy. And it just shows that you really have to be consistent and very demanding with your level of quality in your work, because to win
Yes.
consecutively so many awards for different things as well in your
Yeah.
industry really shows that it's not just 10 people applying for this field. It's thousands
No,
of applications,
at all.
people going through that, professionals from that industry saying this deserves to be acknowledged, and really, really, it's really amazing. As we
Okay.
continue
Thank
to
you.
have our quick discussion, I'll remove this and trying to find the one you won this award for, so that we can quickly show it to people. And for those watching, start sending through your questions so we can send them quickly to our very, very busy guests. Like we have to be conscious of the fact that it can be anywhere from now. It could be preparing for, his next interview with a big channel or so on. But he is blessed being with us for an hour or so, and just for you guys. So really appreciate. So I have found an extract of Agorkoli. I'm gonna
Yeah,
show it
I got
quickly.
calling.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna quickly just show it for the audience watching us. And what's the story of this one again? I think it's something that
So
you
this
mentioned.
was my final year production at the film school,
Right.
and it talks about the migration saga of the Evers in Ghana, and you
Mm,
can find the Evers are a very big clan
yeah.
that you can find
You find them
at
in Togo.
the yes. So they are around the southeast part of Ghana.
Yeah.
They and it stretches across Togo. They stretch across Togo, Benin, and
Mm-hmm.
some parts in Nigeria. So
Right.
the Evers have a lineage that is very ancient.
Yeah.
So I tracked their history
Mm-hmm.
from uh, ancient days, Babel, right
Yeah.
down to when they came to settle under a very interesting king called King
There's
Agokoli.
really a lot of research going on because I like history, and I can see like the
Yeah,
level of details in like the palaces.
yeah,
Like sometimes when we see some of the frames and we see some of the hieroglyph coming through as well, I really like how everything is blended so that even subconsciously when you're watching that quickly, even if I don't remember seeing that, my brain still takes that information in, and then it
mhm,
will associate that content with the story of the migration of the Ewe people.
yes. This particular project took me about 2 years in research.
Wow.
Research that actually ended up in Nigeria. I
Yeah.
went from Ghana, from the internet to scholars in the universities to going to the elders and the chiefs in the
Wow.
communities. Then I took my bag, traveled to Togo, traveled to Benin, traveled to Nigeria just to be able to get a solid story to tell because I didn't want to tell that single line story and wanted
Amazing.
multiple ways around it.
It's amazing. So let me just ask a question, maybe around now the accessibility of your content, because most of it is accessible to an English speaking audience, right? How
Yes.
about francophone speaking, Portuguese speaking, Spanish speaking? Do you have uh, any ideas of willingness to translate or to make your content available to even more?
Yes.
Um,
So now it is really in my interest to expand our territories to make sure that our work is being consumed by all, not
mhm.
just Anglophone countries. Yeah, because as I'm even in France now, I feel sometimes embarrassed that my French is not good at all. So I'm not able to really
I'm
communicate
sure you're fine.
fluid like that. So it is something that content makers we need to pay attention to that our origin tongue or language is not the only language in the world.
Exactly.
We want
Exactly.
to we want to transcend borders. So
Hmm.
um, with with um, with Mmofra, we have it in Deutsch, we have it in Japan,
Hmm.
the Japanese language.
Really? I
Uh,
didn't know it was
yes,
in Japanese.
yes, it's in Japan, and we have it in French. So with that particular one, we corrected our mistakes. But from now onwards, I'm looking at it with my team how best we can dab all of our IPs into different languages to be able to penetrate into other territories.
And any African languages? Do you have any in any of the African languages spoken in Ghana?
No, but we have some of it in P,
Okay.
the local languages. But now we're looking at also having a language from the north, the south, and the east,
It's
and
amazing.
one from the west, maybe from Nigeria,
Right.
that between Yoruba and Igbo. We'll
Mm-hmm.
see.
It's very important. I really, really like that. Well, make sure you keep us posted whenever you move on to the next stages of having that content produced in African languages as well, because I will definitely be sharing that as well with the people
For sure.
around us. It's very important that we have quality content with the right languages as well, so that even us, even if you don't understand it, the more you listen to it, maybe the images will help us you try and understand what's happening in a particular scene, and it's very
Sure.
important just for our ears that we keep that going as well, and not just the main Western languages as well.
Yeah,
I
you're
have
right.
seen a comment saying, yeah, well, congratulations for all the research you've done on this Agorkoli project. Because really, to do that for 2 years and to go to different places to make sure that when you will actually start drawing and painting the story, it is in line with what you've seen. That is very, very, very important. So, congratulations for that. I've got a
Thank
couple of
you.
questions for you. So there's one saying, great work, bro. Hopefully, we would have streaming platforms in Africa to exploit the entire value chain of your content. Where do you draw your inspiration from? Thank you,
Hmm.
Mr. T.
Mr. T. Wow. My inspiration. I think I'm I'm I call myself a track full of inspiration.
Right,
I am constantly inspired, giving myself inspiration. I'm constantly looking at things and be like, I can do this and I can do it more. I can
right,
do that. And so my environment inspires me a lot. People that I interact with day to day inspire me a lot. Human beings are so special to me. Our way of thinking is so interesting, mostly political, highly political, and I'm always trying to understand how the mind works, how
right.
to interact with people, how not to be awkward,
Yeah,
into getting into the minds of people to know how they are thinking and what they like and what they don't like. So all of these things are fascinating, and it helps me to push my imaginations further.
okay. Well, I hope this answers the question. Anything can be an inspiration mainly, and human
Mm.
beings. So I like what you said. I'm not sure if Mr. T listened to that part when you responded to my questions around how you treat your employees. And I like the fact that you emphasize that you see them as human beings, and you make sure that they are in the right environment to produce the right content. And I think
Mm.
that your response now just also resonates with the inspiration coming from human beings as well. Thank you for this question. The next question is, what are you up to next? Are you already working on a new project? Maybe.
So yes, we are working, but unfortunately, I can't say much about it because of non-disclosure
Agreement.
conditions. But definitely, the studio is working. We are producing great stuff. We are cooking for you guys.
Great
Just
stuff.
yes, just be ready to have a feast when we come out.
You're gonna have to come back again, and you're gonna have to break it down for us. Tell us, yeah, three, four different people made this and that effects, created this and that. Because
Yes,
otherwise we're just gonna see it and be like, okay, it was a 15-minute short film. We don't
no,
necessarily understand. But when you tell me that there's three or four different people doing that 30 seconds, I'm like, wow, respect,
yes, for
really.
sure, for sure.
Okay, so we can't say much about the project, unfortunately, for confidentiality reasons, but that was a good
Mhm.
question. And I also had it in my case, just, because I always try and get as much information as I can from you. I remember
Yeah,
even when you said you were working on the Room 5, I was trying to get information, but you were not really responding that much to my WhatsApp, so I just gave up.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
There's another question saying, out of all of your work, what is your
Hmm.
favorite creation? Uh-huh.
Hmm. That's tough. That's very tough. I think, as I said, Tutu is my passion project
Mm-hmm.
that I would definitely like to see that project on screens before I die.
Right.
Uh, so that one hasn't been produced, so I can't say it's my favorite creation yet.
Yeah.
But if it were to be produced, I'll say that's my favorite creation. But now my favorite creation, I can't choose. It's between Mmofra, Agokole, and Room 5.
All right. Okay. So you give
And
us
every new project that I create
mm-hmm.
becomes my favorite. Like I'm like a baby, I'm like a child. When I get something new, that is my world for that time being. Till I get something new again, then I move on to that new thing. And
Yeah.
so every project and how I treat it and how I feel about it, so I create another one. And
Right.
as an artist, I don't feel comfortable just sticking to one project for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
always want to evolve.
Okay. Well, that was a good question. If you couldn't answer it straight away, that was a
Mm.
good question. Another question coming up from Mr. T. Are you thinking of creating political content? Surely our politicians will help provide the much needed inspiration and content.
Yes, um, I'm very political, but I do it in a very subtle way. So to answer Mr. T, we've already produced one which is very political.
Right.
We've produced a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
We produced uh, um, Kwasni, that saw ice is stop motion animation on our platform. Uh, Even Room 5, as I was saying, is very political, but we made it into a dark comedy animation film.
Right.
Yes.
But that
Yeah.
one is only for the festival, so we can't see that one now.
Yeah. Unfortunately,
But
we can
wait
only
for
see
the
the teaser.
So then, just quickly, can you just say like what happens? So when a short film or a film goes to the festival level, like maybe in
Yeah.
2 or 3 years time, we will be able to see it on a distribution.
Yeah, it depends on the patience of the filmmaker and also how good the film is doing in the
Right.
festival circuit. If the
Mm-hmm.
film is doing very well, it can go up to 3 years before you release it. If
Wow.
it's not really going too well and you're not
Mm-hmm.
winning the awards that you've targeted or getting into festivals that you want to get into,
Right.
you end up releasing it quicker because you don't want to lose your chances of getting an audience for it.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah.
maybe we'll get to
And the
5.
good thing is, uh, we just started our festival circuit and we started with Ansi. That's the first one that we entered into.
Right.
And we got it, which is a BAFTA and Oscar qualifying festival.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
we entered into another one, which is also a very big one in America. And it has also been nominated, but I can't mention the name of the festival yet because they say we can't post it till they announce. And it is also a BAFTA and an Oscar qualifying. So it seems like Room 5 is already on its way to the Oscars, that kind of thing.
Okay, good. Well, we
Yeah.
hope that, you being in France right now as we are streaming this will probably help you as well. So we send you all the good vibes possible for that one to go as far as it can be so that we can get
Yeah.
to see it and that it's not stuck at the festival circuit level.
No.
So we really hope that, the content will go as far as possible and win as many awards as possible.
Amen.
We've got another question. What is or what has been your biggest challenge?
So I'll say my biggest challenge is funding. I
Okay.
have I have about three big challenges, but the biggest is funding.
Mm-hmm.
The second one I think is about infrastructure
Right.
and structure
Mm-hmm.
because our film industry in Ghana really doesn't have a structure that helps to facilitate some of the most important things some of us the
Mm-hmm.
content creators need.
Mm-hmm.
like to create an atmosphere that will be easy for us to enter into deals like co-productions with international countries,
Right.
other countries.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Even having set structures for our film release,
Mm.
having a film fund
Mm.
for our industry. There is a film fund, but it's said to be empty. So
Right.
all of these things, the Bible that makes the engine of the film industry in Ghana to run is not there. So that's a major challenge of mine. But
Mm.
individually as a studio, it
Mm-hmm.
is mainly funding. But
Right.
we are gradually breaking that challenge.
Oh, amazing. Well,
Yeah.
maybe I would like to expand that question and just add up the question of training as well. How do
Mhm.
you how do you solve the like the gap of, like, I'm not saying people are not talented, or but as you said, if people don't necessarily have the tools to be able, to develop those talents and so on, uh, what all the options, you were lucky enough to be pushed to by your grandmother to develop that skill and to be in the right schools and to receive the proper training and so on. But can you say that the average Ghanaian or the average West African or the average young African can have access to that training easily?
So you see, when I mentioned infrastructure, it goes to technical know-how as well,
Right.
and also
Right.
the technology for
Mm-hmm.
our industry. Um, it's a major challenge of mine,
Mm.
where before I recruit someone,
Mm.
I have to train the person, or the person needs to come for internships upon internships before
Right.
we
Right.
end up uh,
Being hired.
making the person stay. And
Mm.
this also shows that there's a huge gap in the skill in animation in Ghana,
Mm.
and it's also because our animation film school is not well equipped to train more
Right.
animators.
Mm-hmm.
For in a year in my batch, we were just about five people who graduated out of Ghana.
Oh,
Just five.
wow.
And
Wow.
out of the five, there's only two of us who are practicing now. A lot of
Yeah.
them end up doing
Wow.
something else. So that skill set is a very rare one in
Mm.
my country. And yes, so I have plans to, when I see problems, I don't see them as problems. I see them as opportunity.
Mm.
So I intend to bridge that gap, and I'm working towards it. And you hear about it
Absolutely.
soon.
We're looking forward to, your
Yes.
schools. Okay, there's a few more
Mm, mm.
questions coming around the funding discussion. So there's one, oh, the two of them are kind of interconnected around funding. So there's one from Lindsay saying, there are more and more funds investing in creative industries in Africa. Have you already tried to reach out to them? For example, Impact Fund for African Creatives.
Uh, no, we've not really looked into all of these grants and funding investment platforms.
Right.
Uh, we've not done it because sometimes, or most of the time, you end up spending a whole lot of time chasing some of these things, and you notice that the grant that they're giving,
Yeah.
though it's good, but it's not really the amount that you need to
Right.
put what you want. And it comes with a whole lot of restrictions, honestly,
Right, right. The
some of these
covenants. Hmm.
grants. Yeah, so I like to have it in a very organic way where you meet people that understand the business, are in
Mm.
the business, and can just push that button or sign that check that you definitely need for your project.
So it's more
But
like kind of private
we
funding.
yes, but we are definitely going to look into some of these funding and investment opportunities around creatives in Africa.
Right.
We are definitely going to look into it.
All right. The second question is kind of following up from this one. How do you raise fund, and is your company open to investors? And if that's possible, how can investors invest in your company?
Yes, my studio is open to that. My studio is mainly into IP development. We want to be producing a whole lot of animation content,
Mm-hmm.
and because of that, it means that we will need a whole ton of investment coming in,
Right.
and we are open for investment based on project based. So if you come in as an investor, we can discuss what we have on the table that we are producing. Then you can look into our content, area of content, and decide on which one you would love to invest into.
Amazing. Well, I,
Yeah.
I think we've had, quite a few interesting questions for you from the audience. Thank you so much for all of those, all of you guys who have added into the discussion. Camille Network, Mr. T, Lindsay, Nancy. So I've seen a few names here and there. Thank you so much for all of your very, very interesting questions. I know that we have a guest who's, is of international level. So he shouldn't even be with us on this talk show if we were really looking at the metrics. But we're really, really pleased that you've taken the time to be with us, to respond to our questions and to break down your very, very complex and technical industry for us. Um, I really would like to, give you the final words. Would you like to share with us anything you've not said? I always try and get information, even if I know you won't give it to me, but I always I always try. So, if you want to say anything, comment, now is your time.
Um, in fact, I think we've said all that needs to be said. All that I can tell our audience now is to keep supporting us, to keep supporting creatives coming from Africa because it's very tight. It's not
Yeah,
easy.
yeah,
We
yeah.
sometimes have to bootstrap to make it happen, and we make it look good. So the more we get your support, the better we all become. And yeah, please go on Amazon Prime and check out Mmofra for your kids and generations to come. Thank you.
Amazing. I've just seen another quick question coming up. How can one reach out to your studio? I would like to talk further on the investment front. Ooh.
Oh, Mr. T.
Mm.
Wow. Okay, so you can always email us uh at hello at animaxfybstudios.com.
Hmm.
That is our email.
I'll copy
Hello at
it in the chat.
animaxfybstudios.com.
I'll copy
So
it in the chat
yeah,
now.
for sure.
So yeah, if anyone wants to reach out to Francis and his team for any collaborations, any questions, any support they can provide, information they need, anything, you can reach out to this email that is popping up right now there, and they'll be able to pick it up with you if you want to take the discussion forward with them. Well, that's good. So maybe maybe you get some support from Mr. T or Mr. T's friends. So that would be great. But yeah, thank you so much for highlighting again that it is very important for us to go stream the content that has made it after, the festival circuit and so on. Mofra is available on Amazon Prime. Go there, have a look. I've had a great time. I've watched it myself, I remember. And it's just the diversity of content produced. Yes, some things are very much for like babies, like 4 5 year olds and stuff, but there's also other type of content that will make you laugh, like the story of let me show you one of my favorite characters from Mofra is actually I think it's Uju. I think I remember talking with you
Ojo,
about that one.
that
Yes,
dude.
I really is Uju is my favorite character.
Ojo is from Nigeria. Yes.
Oh wow. Yeah. So
Yes.
for example, I'll just quickly show you my favorite character from Mofra because I was lucky enough to watch that program. And he's actually one of the head faces of the program, if I can say, because we see
Yes,
him
on
quite
the promos.
regularly. Yeah, on the
Mm,
promo content, he's there with a young girl. And
yeah.
he's actually one of my favorite characters. So I'll just quickly show you my favorite character from Mofra so I can encourage you to go and see the story. So He is here. This little boy is my
Yeah,
favorite character from the program. So go have a look at the program. Choose what your best story is. Mine is the one with Ojo. Very naughty boy. But yeah, it's just like, everybody can have a great time. It's only an hour and 10 minutes of your time. It's not as long as the discussion we've just had, and it would give a great push to the program, because the more people watch it from different locations and so on, the more interest and information it gives to the people who funded the project, that it's actually worth investing in more of such type of content. So
yeah,
please do go check out Mmofra, and please check out as well the work of Francis and his team and his studio. They have a YouTube channel. You know his name now, so don't be shy. Go check out what they do. They're also on Instagram if you want to have more information, where they share sometimes some snippets of the works they're doing. So yeah, this is really what I would encourage you guys to do, because we really need everybody to support. As he told you, out of this year there were only 5 people graduating, only 2 of them are still involved. We need to sustain them, and they do amazing work. So that's very, very important, that we are supporting our brothers and sisters who do amazing stuff on the continent
yes,
as well. So until I can finally get to see you, maybe in Ghana, maybe in Paris, maybe in London, wherever, I just wanted to thank you again for spending the time to be with us tonight, for sharing amazing information about your project. We really, really, really wish you well. And we hope that you'll come back with more prizes, more awards, and more exclusivity for us to share,
for sure.
hopefully.
Most definitely.
All right. I won't take much more of your time. I will let you go and have a great time in France. Keep promoting Room 5. And we'll definitely stay in touch anyway, separately. But I will let you go for now so we can close out today's episode. Okay, thank you so much, guys, for watching the episode tonight. I hope that you guys appreciated the journey of Francis. He's an amazing speaker, an amazing individual, an amazing human being who made it up from the continent up to Times Square. I didn't mention it in the interview, but that's how I found him, because his work was portrayed on the billboards of Times Square. That's how far I had to go in being excellent in his work, so that his content can be available on Amazon Prime. Please make sure you go check out what he does, because that's very important. As far as we are concerned, you can keep in touch with us as well on social media. You can keep in touch as well by following this channel, subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with everyone else who could not join us tonight, because it's very important that we also make sure that the talents of the continent see how they're represented, and more of them come and join our discussion. Um, if you want to have more information about what's coming up next, I would encourage you to go on our social media pages, follow up, sign up to the newsletter, and then we'll be able to keep you in touch with the next episodes and so on. We're already working on the next Crispy Talk Show. So please, please pay attention to what's coming up next. And thank you again to everybody who's added comments in the section, who watched very silently. Thank you so much for the comments. Hi, Mainin. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Thank you, Mr. T. Thank you, everybody, for the energy and the great vibes that you've been sharing in the chat section as well. So I will not take much more of your time for this evening, but I wish you all very, very, very well. Have a great evening, and I'll see you at the next one.